what it is.
What's up?
Got your nigga in the cut. God damn. It's a happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a wacky Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's actually ableist when I think about it.
Damn.
But it is a very happy Wednesday. I'm in high spirits.
Better than yesterday.
Dude, I don't know, like where I was yesterday versus where I am right now. I'm like, girl,
Completely different.
you need to control your emotions
Yeah.
as well, because the gaps can't be this wide.
Dude.
But how are you?
I'm alright. I am like, I think one of the reasons why I was like down bad yesterday, I think I still am a little bit, but like I'm better. Like I'm significantly better than I was yesterday. It's just like obviously I'm tired. I always say
Obviously,
that.
always. that's an
Standard-
standard bastard of a
standard
condition.
stuff. But I think on top of that, it's just been, like I think there's just something in the air as a whole.
Yeah,
I
definitely,
don't think
sure.
it's just us. I think we're all feeling tired. I think we're all feeling like we are over this whole thing.
I think there hasn't been a break between, and we keep saying this, there hasn't been a break between last year and this year.
Yes,
and
exactly.
we need some sort of like significant, hopeful event
yeah.
that will separate the two.
Yeah.
And I personally think that the vaccination stats that we're seeing that have been added onto Zwelim Kiza's graphic, that man is working hard on Canva. He's putting in the work. Like that new vaccination stats, I think it's giving me a lot of hope. And the bigger it grows, the better.
And also just seeing like less
Hospitals are celebrating.
dude,
Like
like,
hospitals are celebrating.
who would have thought we would have seen that?
1 week without a COVID case, 1 week without a COVID death.
One
That-
day, like one day.
One day is a lot,
you
dog.
know.
So considering the fact that over the last few months, so almost now a year and a
Yeah.
bit, COVID has claimed more than 500,000 lives.
Yeah.
That's more than World War One, World War Two.
we need to
Dark
Listen,
times. But
anyway,
rehash
How are
of
you? How are you?
I'm alright. Like I'm in high spirits, and I think anyone who interacts with me, follows me on social media, or engages with me on social media knows damn well that this is because of the changing of the name of Port Elizabeth, as well as Uteneg, as well as what's this? Uteneg, the airport.
Yes,
The Port Elizabeth Airport has just been changed to the name of Chief Khoisan leader who was very instrumental in the resistance against colonization. Died in 1850, I think, or 1854, something around there. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. As in exile in Australia.
Oh, wow.
So they were imprisoned on Robben Island in the 1830s because of their resistance towards colonization. So it's a Khoi leader, and even though the name might sound Afrikaans, we need to stop like thinking that Afrikaans is limited to Dutch settlers.
or even what sounds like Afrikaans.
Yes,
you know.
it's limited.
Yeah.
So secondly, it's that East London Airport got changed to King Palo Airport,
Yes,
which is really cool. Told Palo he's unfazed. I don't think he understands
I
the
don't think he gets the
significance of that as of
significance.
yet.
No.
And then secondly, Port Elizabeth
Yes.
got changed to Gqeberha, or if you are extremely attached to the idea that Port Elizabeth Xhosa is incorrect, Gqeberha for some, because they want it to have that old Xhosa pronunciation. But I grew up hearing people calling the township that I was raised in and the township that my family lives in, Gqeberha. So Gqeberha is the Xhosa word for the Barkans River, which flows through Port Elizabeth, and I'm imagining was a source of life for many in Woma Township, which also has the Xhosa word Gqeberha. So initially Woma Township was known as Gqeberha, and it is one of Port Elizabeth's oldest townships alongside New Brighton, which is known as Ilali Ebomvu. And I think this is very significant for me because growing up knowing the rich history that the township has and like the amount of resistance that they've had over the years before and during apartheid means quite a lot to me, because I was actually chatting to my dad about it. We come from like a poverty-stricken environment. where there is so little hope in the face of constantly being exposed to so much abundance and wealth. So Woma Township is one of the only townships, if not the only township in Port Elizabeth, that so happens to be literally surrounded by affluence. So during apartheid and even before, there were multiple efforts to remove black people from the township itself.
So I guess instead
they
building train tracks.
there's even a train track that goes through that separates the township from the burbs.
And it's such a clear.
It's a clear separation,
I've been there a
dude.
couple of times, and it's
the separation between the poverty and the affluence as well is
so jarring. Like it's
so
in
you
your
can
face.
imagine how much that does to your psyche when, first of all, to access your job or to access school, you literally have to move between the two every single day. But outside of that, I was doing some reading, and in 1984, the township that was surrounded by the richest white people only had 15 taps at the time. So you can imagine the levels of poverty. And I think something like this, I'm hoping it's going to inspire a new sense of hope. I'm hoping that it is one step closer to doing more.
Also a sense of ownership, right?
Yes,
like where we can say this is
literally,
ours. This is
literally,
our
because
land, actually.
because I really believe that for the first time, like this morning when I woke up, I felt very like patriotic about where I come from, because all of a sudden it's not this city that's named after random guy, Rudolph or something, Duncan's wife. It's actually a city that's now named after a township that I come from, which bred my parents and has contributed so much in terms of the political, intellectual landscape of what used to be Port Elizabeth. I'm beaming with pride. Like, I'm very excited.
Rightfully.
And I'm hoping that there will somehow be more investment. And even if there isn't, I think the changing of names is very important. And that's why we protested for that during Feesmas Fall, right? Because it's that sense of belonging that you were speaking to. And it's also that sense of there have been people who worked.
But also, who wants to see, guys, colonial residue?
It must go. It must go. It must go. It must go.
Nice. People are like, we must remember. Sorry, we don't want to remember.
So yeah, that's like one of the most exciting things that's happened this week. But on the negative side, Siv Ngesi.
Savannah.
Also, why Savannah? Like, why Savannah? Where does that come from?
Because he knew Savannah, the ghetto.
I think one of the greatest dangers of moving forward as a society is constantly the fact that there will always be a cis heterosexual man or a man who we know as cis heterosexual who will benefit more than the marginalized, who have broken down the walls for us as a society to get to a place where certain things are acceptable and certain people can be treated with more dignity. I think men like Siv Ngesi have clocked how to constantly benefit from that. He benefited from being a Model C exemplary. It's gone.
Exemplary.
Thank you. Citizen, right? Where he is often the only black person in the spaces that he occupies. And who broke those barriers? Who broke those grounds? We as young black women who come from spaces where we know what it feels like to exist as a third-rate citizen, know very well that there are some doors that black women work so hard to like kick open, and black men will waltz through, benefiting. And Siv Ngesi is so used to that now he has gone above and beyond, and he is like encroaching on the queer community's ground with all of his privilege, and he's taking up so much space, and he's claiming everyone is misunderstanding his intentions, and that doesn't make sense to me
personally.
His responses to people calling him out, and his responses to, first of all, deliberately only choosing people who are praising him and responding to that, but also like the amount of silence over the years when certain things are happening, but also the way he chooses to defend things, which is something that like I have grown to constantly like look at the most, how you defend things and how you show up for marginalized communities actually says a lot. Because when there is like rampant homophobia, which is always there, but when it's like a little bit more hyper visible, a man like Siv Ngesi will literally post 2 gay guys kissing and then be like, retweet this to piss off a homophobe today. And it's like, oh, you truly believe that baiting and bringing out homophobic views from people somehow helps the queer community in some way. And that guy has always defended in that way. And I think it's so sick and so narcissistic and so messed up, because the hate that he is like antagonizing people to bring out isn't directed at him. He's protected from it.
Exactly.
So he is actually very wild, and I think that's where I'm going to end my comments. But I also feel like
I concur.
Adidas needs to take some responsibility if they actually, because I do think he is an Adidas athlete.
No?
I do think he is sponsored by them. So if they actually sent him stuff and paid for that shoot, then that's messed up, because there are so many queer people who have been openly supporting the Beyonce drops.
Man.
And they should have gotten that opportunity. So
speaking of Icy Park, walk in the club, popping bottles.
Look, Misha blessed me with a bucket hat. I would bring it and show you guys, but I'm too lazy to get up. And it's lush.
It's very lush.
Heavy.
It's
big.
Nice.
It's like Makoti material. Like,
I love
it's heavy.
I love it.
I love it, but
it's just awkward now after.
Yeah, but I'm also still like, I'm not 100% happy with Adidas's distribution and marketing strategy for Ivy Park. I do feel like, yes, this time they did choose like Foyen, shout outs. I think actually Foyen was the only person who I was like, wow, amazing, great choice.
Oh, and Viola, well, not South Africa.
Oh, Viola Davis was an amazing choice. Like, actually, Viola Davis is the only person that actually looks good for me in this drop.
She looked amazing. It looks so good against her skin color. I actually just realized, I was like, whoa.
I wasn't fully
so beautiful.
Impressed with this drop. I think because it's winter clothes, we were all priced out. Well, me as a Pavo, I was priced out. I can't imagine myself paying 1,500 Rand personally for an Adidas hoodie. I would rather invest that money in like maybe a local designer or a more established brand. Established sounds weird because Adidas is established, but I just feel like the technology wouldn't be there for me to spend 1.5 on an Adidas hoodie. I also feel like the sizing was extremely disappointing. You could tell that those clothes, like me personally, for a person who's small, those clothes weren't going to sit well. The tailoring would have probably damaged that. But also bigger people for the first time felt that there were more sizes, surprisingly.
And they actually were, because I saw like, I don't know, I don't think they went up to four X's. I don't think they did, but they went.
So I'm happy.
Compared to the other drops,
I'm happy because of
that.
Although
it still wasn't.
But also it still wasn't the most, but also South Africans are short. Uhuru's video for reference. Go search Not Yet Uhuru and watch her video trying on the Ivy Park pants.
That was hilarious. It's the walk for me. It was the walk. So she was just so defeated. But you look beautiful nonetheless.
I'm looking forward to the next drop.
Yes.
And seeing what they
summer
bring.
Drop.
Yeah, because winter we can't afford. No. The jacket was like close to 4K.
Mate.
For Adidas.
Said never that.
No ways.
Even that, like, that scarf. I really wanted that scarf, that faux fur scarf.
Yes.
I said, I can't. It's 1.9. I was like, I just can't justify spending 1.9 right now when my house needs me. I just can't. So, I'm currently working on my place. So, I'm, you have to, when you're grown.
Yeah, you have to gauge. You have to gauge.
I'll treat myself next month or something.
Yeah,
whatever.
not with this one.
Speaking of Uhuru, she is one of the people that pioneered Clubhouse CBD, which it's
really cool.
Yeah.
I joined for like maybe. It added up to like 2 hours in total. It's cool, man. Yeah. Like, I can't wait until Twitter does Twitter Spaces, because then we can do some really cool things without our community having to download a third-party app and without Android people being left out. But you can speak on the Clubhouse thing. It's really dope.
Yeah, it's really, really dope. If you don't know Clubhouse, it's a currently iPhone-only
You see
app
now.
where people have houses.
Rooms.
Rooms, yes.
It's like a house party.
Yeah, like a house party,
But without the video.
Without the video, and then you're just like talking, and obviously the no games and whatnot, and you're just like talking about different topics. You can add people as listeners. Some people can sort of listen in. I mean, not add people as listeners, but add people as speakers, and then other people can just be listeners. Yeah, it's pretty alright. Like, I mean, I tried to get into it. I've had it for a while, but I think the problem was that it was a lot of industry people chatting
Yeah.
and I'm
It's like a
personally
LinkedIn.
I'm really bad at like starting with my career. Like, I'm really, really bad at that. Not because I don't think it's great, but I don't see the point. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just want to leave my career, at my career.
I think I'm like that as well. Like,
I'm really bad at being a careerist. Like, yeah.
Like, I look at people on LinkedIn and they're so passionate, and maybe it's because I work in marketing and it's such a devilish space.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm being honest, like, it's a big contributor to capitalism, but also it's a big contributor to a lot of things that I think are wrong in the world. And idealistically, I wish I could be a part of like something that's contributing to the world positively via marketing. But like, I think because of there might be a little bit of shame attached to marketing for me, which keeps me away from speaking about it. But at the same time, I also often feel like people like to act very fluffy about the industry that I'm in, when they know damn well that like all that matters is KPIs and numbers. And like this telling a story thing that a lot of people do,
They're talking shit, mate.
they're mostly talking shit. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so a lot of people, are on there to have these industry discussions. Also, a lot of the industry discussions that are happening, from the people that I follow are very much like creative industry. I'm not in the
Creatives like to
industry.
talk.
I love my industry. I very
Creatives
much love
like
my
to
job,
talk.
but there's just no space in that regard, So I never really got into Clubhouse.
Before
in
Nam,
that,
it was my first time yesterday. And I literally only joined because of the commentary on Twitter.
Yeah.
Commentary on Twitter will send you to many places. And I guess that's why they like blocking promo Twitter now, because of the platform manipulation and the power that has.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to
right
our
on.
topic for the day.
Yes.
That was a long intro.
It was.
So today we're actually talking about the conclusions of love.
Yes.
Like when love concludes, and does love actually conclude, or do we conclude the act of being in love?
In love, yeah.
So I don't know, man. I was thinking about this the other day. I was looking at the episodes that we'd done, and I realized that subconsciously we followed the Bongezo Maban, like the a very easy narrative of like the beginning of love, when you're in love, the highs, the lows, and now like
Because
the
after
end.
you've disappointed yourself and you've betrayed yourself,
There's two.
what comes? There are two ways, You either pick yourself up and pick your relationship up and have an honest and frank conversation with your partner, or it ends.
Yeah.
And
And today we're going to talk about the end, because we sadistic like
break
that.
up with him now.
Leave him today.
That is gonna be the title of the
Leave him today.
Please. So yeah, breakups, child.
I don't know. I feel like I've
have
had
experience.
I've had more friendship breakups than relationship breakups. I've even had more family relations breakups than relationship breakups. And I think I'll start there, because we hardly ever talk about that.
Yeah.
I think I grew up with my grandmother raising a lot of her siblings' children as well as her cousins' children. And when I look back, I'm like, first of all, that was a very unfair position to be in. And no wonder those children may have felt that she was cruel.
Yeah.
Or the treatment that she might have dished out, or the way that she might have behaved as a primary parent, could not have always been like sunshine and roses, because there's no way that one person should be taking care of 12 children that aren't their own. But anyway, that context aside, I grew up in so we had like this big shack, right?
Yeah.
And then it was the family home, like with the history that I'd given, we come from a very impoverished background. And sometimes I look around like at the things that we have and I cannot believe that, like, shit, I was born in a shack. But anyway, we grew up in the shack with like gang people. Like at any given point in my family, we were my gran was dishing up more than 10 plates. Like in my formative years, I think up until like the age of 5, I can remember that. And within that space, there was this, or when you're a kid, you look at it and you're looking at this really close-knit family that's like so in love with each other. And obviously as a kid, you can witness conflict from here and there, but you don't have a full understanding of what is happening.
You don't see it for what it is.
Yeah, and then like to being now an adult and literally only being able to count like 5 people as who I consider family is such a weird transition. And over the years, I've just realized that as a kid, like I loved everyone was loving towards me. And that's primarily because I was the breadwinner's grandchild. And then my mom sort of also assumed that position. So I was the breadwinner's child. But as soon as my mom died and like the dynamic shifted between my grandmother and certain family members, it was like, oh my God, like I'm never going to have these people in my life ever again. And now as an adult, it's like there are 20, 30 people that I have such fond memories of as a child who, on a matter of principle, I could never get along with today and have no relationship with today. And I sometimes look back and I'm like, I actually miss those connections. I miss that relationship. But as you get older, things happen in your family and you witness people behaving in a certain way. And they obviously have their own justifications, but you then decide, like, my construction of family is not inclusive of this. And it's just been a wild thing that I've thought about a lot, especially after I did like my imbeleko yam, like my ceremony. And it just felt like such an empty, like, yes, it was fulfilling and all of that. But when I look back and I look at like the way things happen, I look at the way my uncle's mgidi was, like the way his ceremonies were, it was full of family, it was full of life. And I look at the way my thing was, and it was just like my immediate family and like a few people with the same clan name, but there was no sense of like, oh, this is a family, these are my people. And I'm just like very saddened, but at the same time I understand that it had to end.
Which that's okay, right? Like I think when we talk about when relationships end, we do kind of need to, there were certain connections when we were in love that were really valuable, that were dope, that were, you know, that
at their best.
At their best were amazing. And sometimes you can look back and go, wow, you know, like at that time in my life, that was what I needed. And sometimes, you know, you long for it, depending on where you are in life.
And what's happening.
Yeah, especially in light of what's going on. I can imagine that someone who is sitting alone during lockdown is thinking about, damn, you know, if I were with X, Y, and Z, maybe
things would be,
I'd be less lonely, or I'd be like this, I'd be like that. So I do think when we do talk about, you know, loss and relationship breakdowns, we don't, because I think we tend to do that a lot, and I think we talk about it a lot, where it's like we don't allow ourselves to feel more than one thing about the situation, right? And because what we tend to think is when you say this, it means you want to go back.
Yes, which is, that's not the case, right? Because you're actually very correct.
Thought process.
You can be like, I'm proud of myself for getting myself out of this situation, but I still do miss this, and missing even that doesn't actually undermine my decision to get myself out of it. And I just think I've been thinking about it a lot, where like my family over the last 20 years has literally been reduced to like 5 people, especially my maternal family. I think the dynamics are a bit more different on my paternal family because I'm also not as actively involved. So, but from like a witness perspective, it's like, it's very interesting to see very different family dynamics where the people on my mother's side on my mother's side are very explosive and confrontational, which I think can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Like they don't pretend.
That's my mom's side of the
They
family.
don't pretend
actually
each other,
same,
so they'd rather fight all the time than act like they're good. And I think on this side things are a bit different, where there is a lot of conflict, but we're gonna act like it's not happening.
Yeah, we're
and
family.
as I grow, I actually prefer the conflict side, because then you always know where you stand, and people are being more true and honest to themselves, and it kind of normalizes how you should behave as a person as well, even if your confrontation style is going to be different, right? Because I truly believe that the one thing we forget about confrontation is that it doesn't necessarily, and this is something that I've actually been thinking about, because I've been feeling so bad about how my whole life, based on the conflict that I've witnessed, I've been positioning myself as conflict averse. Yeah. And now I've actually gotten to a point where I'm like, no, man. Sometimes the most necessary conflict in a situation is the confrontation you must have with yourself, as opposed to the confrontation you must have with another. And then once you've had that confrontation with yourself and you've had the chat, you can gauge, is it necessary to have this with the other person?
Is this a situation where I must defend myself, you know,
to them,
yeah.
Or, you know, and I think that is the learning for me going forward. But like, the breakdown in a family relationship is a very sore thing. And I just look back, I'm like, I don't have, like, I've got like one or two aunts, I've got like one or two uncles, but I grew up with like this big community of people raising me. So that's one of the most hurtful breakups for me.
I can imagine.
On your end?
Well, I have experienced both friendship. I mean, family, they've been there, but to be honest, I think my parents have been very, they sheltered me a lot, and I think they still do. Although, shame, they are, every now and then they're like, you know, actually you're grown up, you need to know these things. And then every now and then they're like, no, we don't want to tell you because we don't want to stress you. So I let them do what they want to do. But I think I've experienced many relationship breakups. But I've also experienced friendship breakups.
Yeah, okay, I'm
well.
very good at that as well. Shed one every year. Each year.
Wow. Yeah, no, I have mine is it's ridiculous. I'm going to tell the story because
okay, let's go.
So we had this friend, you know, since high school, we're very close. And then, you know, Vasti came through. She moved to a different school. I moved all the way to Cape Town. The rest were in Pretoria. So, you know, obviously we're keeping in touch via BBM. When BBM was gone, then it was, what was it? WhatsApp, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever WhatsApp came through.
WeChat, WhatsApp.
We'd always call each other as well. But then, you know, as the years went by, there was kind of like there was a distance, like a very noticeable distance. And, you know, then I moved back in 2016 and she did as well. And even then, like, there was there was no sense of excitement about being, and this was someone I was with all the time, you know, at a point. There was no sense of like excitement to be around this person. I think also... Yeah, like, I guess I'll reflect on that after I've told the story. But anyway, in 2016, we're trying, but it's just not
not working.
You know what I mean? Like, you can tell it's not working.
Yeah.
And then at a point, like, I just kind of removed myself. I just kind of shut down. Like, I just kind of decided already that, you know what?
It's not
There's
for
nothing
me.
I can do here. I'm not going to fight for this. But there was another friend that was still sort of trying. I was just like, yo, do you? And then I don't know what... so we had a WhatsApp group. And she was in it, but like, and we'd always talk, and then this person just wasn't participating. So then we decided, in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God. We then decided that, you know, we're gonna start one
without the person.
Yeah, with
that's how it always starts.
Who are participating, because it's very discouraging.
It's awkward.
You know what I mean? It's very discouraging. So then we're doing that. And then, I don't know, it was like before my birthday. And she texted me. She's like, yeah, what can I get you for your birthday? And I was like, oh, you know, you don't have to, but I guess you can give me this. This is what I'd like, whatever. And then, oh, man, I feel so terrible. But essentially, like, I texted on the group.
And you thought it was the other group.
The other group, the three of us. And I'm like, oh, I see, because I was definitely very bitter about just
The way things were going.
Things were going, and then for her to come back and be like, "Oh, what can I get you for a birthday?" I don't want a present, dog. Like, I want you there. I want presents. I'm the type of person who's like that. Like, you don't have to give me a present or whatever. Like, let's chill out. Let's give me your time. You know. So I went on the group and I was like, I see she's trying to buy my
Yo, how old were you then?
I was 2016, so I was doing my honors.
You were old as fuck for that.
I was a grown woman.
You were very old for that.
I was a very, let me check how old I was. I was definitely 21.
I'm dead at us not knowing how old we were in
I was turning
2016.
22.
Yeah,
I was
we were
22.
22.
Yeah. And yeah, so my day was quite busy that day. I think I was.
And you didn't realize.
Didn't realize. So I'm not checking my phone. Like, I've sent this message. I'm not even looking at my phone.
Oh, Lord.
And then I get back to campus, if not my place, and I check, and I'm like, oh,
the group is booming. Or did she not participate?
She just kind of texted, oh, okay, and then she left. And I was like,
and that was the end.
That was the end. Like, we never spoke after that. And yeah, like, I mean, I think about it often, and I'm like, I definitely feel bad for that. Will I apologize in person? No, I won't. I don't know where she is. I don't have her number.
I don't know what's happening.
You know,
and also, you don't want to re-trigger them.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, but yeah, it was just a very, like, I wish we had had a confrontation where it was like, girl, like, what is going on? Because when I think about it in hindsight, like, I mean, we were all in university.
There was a lot happening,
this person
possibly.
is alone there. I'm alone there. You know, there's a lot going on. A lot happened during that time, high school, and when we moved back to
So they're not friends with anyone else?
Not that I know of. But yeah, like, it was just I think I also had to go through certain stages where there was a point where I felt very bad about that. In the beginning, I didn't feel bad. I kind of still don't. But
I get that. Two feelings can exist at once.
At once, exactly. But there was a time where I felt incredibly bad about the way things happened, because I had to think back and think, maybe the reason why she wasn't so present was because maybe she was going through so much. And as much as we did try to be like, yo, what's going on? Like, you know, you can talk to us. You know, this and this and this and that. You know, part of me was like, maybe we could have tried a little bit harder. That was maybe.
But yeah, the maybes
will always be there.
Always maybe.
They will always be there. And so, yeah, I just kind of, part of me felt very bad about that. And I felt, at the same time, I also felt like, why do you need to feel bad? And it's like, girl, it's really okay. Hey?
Like I don't know. I think for me, it's very interesting, because that feeling bad thing, every single friendship breakdown that I've ever had has literally been because a friend was in a shitty relationship.
Yeah.
And them being in the shitty relationship then meant that they started to mistreat their friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people put relationships on a hierarchy, and even the people that you think could never or would never literally do. I think even 2016, we were experiencing a friend not talking to us because they were fixing things with an abusive partner. Like, it's like, so I don't know if I can feel bad, because I think you were there for the person.
Why were you mistreating me, dog? Like,
and also
that was the other side of me that was like, but why are you feeling bad? This person was mistreating. For a lot of people, it's like, but she was going through this.
But it's also, you're still mistreating other people through like, what you're going through.
Because it did get to a point where some people because I had removed myself quite early on, and I wasn't like sort of pulling my weight in that regard, but some people were feeling like, oh my God, this person is just using me for this and that and the other. There isn't much
but
of
they're
a
not
friendship.
showing up in this way.
They're not showing up for me in this way. And so there was part of me that was like, yo, you know, actually, nah, like, this doesn't warrant feeling bad because at all.
So I'm just like, also, we just need to realize, like, the capacity that we truly have and the capabilities that we have.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are above us. There's certain things that are even above psychologists.
Yeah.
So when people are going through things and they're treating you like shit, like, there's very little room for justification that you have, and we need to stop doing that. Like, the same way that those people are centering themselves and prioritizing themselves in that situation, we need to prioritize ourselves too. So for me, like, I think that's why there isn't a single friendship breakdown that I regret.
Yeah.
Because where I'm being 100% honest when I'm like, it's always been because of people having really shitty partners.
Yeah.
Like, every single friend that I've ever lost has been because they were in a situation, and when I look back, shame
Shame
drives
is so real.
us to do weird things.
Shame is
And
so
all the friends that I've
real.
lost, it's been because of shame.
Yeah. But even in breakups, once you've had breakups, I mean, shame can really like, I think for me, in some of my breakups, relationship ones, it was romantic relationship ones, I'm rather say. I definitely felt a sense of shame. In some instances, like, I mean, the one, I had built connections with the people around this person. And, you know, sometimes it was sort of even outside of this
the person,
being
yeah,
around.
yeah.
And then the relationship ended, and I just felt such a deep sense of shame when which was just like, why? You know what I mean?
I guess it's because, like, we don't know how to process loss.
Yeah.
And
it was my first time having those types of connections.
And you'll probably, I think it's probably a matter of like, because we don't know how to process loss, and you're saying it was like your first time, it's easier to feel shame because you also now feeling like, why did I even bother to form those connections? Why did I
should have protected myself.
So
I
it's
should have
like
done this. I should have removed myself. You know, because typically that's what I was about. I was like, no, I'm not trying to meet anybody.
Yeah. So it becomes easier to just like feel all that shame because you're also like too scared to mourn those other connections that you're mourning on top of the romantic relationship itself, which I can imagine because like, sure, like if Lorna and I were to break up, that's like, I don't know how many.
Who do we choose?
That's literally like my entire 20s so far.
Yeah.
Like that's all the connections that I've formed.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing like a lot of people say is a danger in terms of not compartmentalizing, but I think I would not be true to myself if I ever compartmentalized.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, new colleague, hey, do you want to go out with my friends? Like, I can't keep things apart because I genuinely feel like the people that I have in my life are such an important
Man, I'm just
thing
trying
to me, and they're safe. Like, I think maybe we're privileged in the sense that it's safer for us to not compartmentalize. But at the same time, I can imagine how much loss that brings. Because I think even with friends, you know, you'll have friends for years. You'll have relationship with their parents, with their siblings.
Like, with that friend, my dad still asks about her, and I'm like, I don't know what to
say.
I don't know
that's
what
why
to
I
tell
just
him.
like when things start getting weird. Like it's wild. Like my last friendship that ended.
Yeah.
When things started getting, I remember like I was flagging to my dad all the time, like, nah, this person's doing this and this. This person's partner's doing this. This person's doing this. And it's like, by the time there's a blow, the thing blows up, or I walk away, it's like, okay, don't ask me about that person again.
Yeah.
But also parents are weird because it's not like they've never lost friends. So I don't understand why they be asking you about people when they can clearly see.
I've never, even in videos, not in pictures, nothing. Come on, like.
All the time. What happened to so and so, sir? What happened to your friends from when I was a kid?
Okay. So yeah, you were saying about compartmentalizing. Yeah, I think yeah, like I used to be of that school of thought of like, I need to compartmentalize, this person can't be, but it's just unsustainable. First of all, my time
Very
already
limited.
fuck, man. Like my time is already just like, yo.
And also it's nice to experience a
Your
person
partner,
with other.
Exactly. I will not lie to you. Seeing your partner or your friend with other people or whoever you like around other people is so like,
And it's a good thing, right?
It's illuminating because it can help you pick up certain things. It can either make you like them more because they're actually like a dope person or they're polite or whatever, or it can make you.
And
you
it
know.
also, I think it's a very important thing to do when it is safe to do, because what it then does is it gives someone with bad intentions very limited opportunities to isolate you, because then they see the strength of the bonds that you have, but also they also see you relating.
Because then what they'll start doing very quickly when they start seeing you with these other people, and they see that the way these how strong these bonds are, then they start trying to sow seeds of doubt and you know, if you are secure enough in your friendships and you will be able to be like,
oh, this is what this person is doing.
You're talking
yeah,
shit,
because all of a sudden the relationship isn't just about you two, but it's about building community.
Yeah, exactly. Which then reminds me of the chats that people then have on social media about like meeting the boys. And being told my boy's never been this happy. There's some people.
That's when you know that okay, when now you're trying to be a steering, or this is a really messed up circle of friends.
Yeah,
I think that's like, I think once that comment comes out, it's like, yeah, no.
It's like,
You need to gauge, am I comfortable with being with a person who has people like this around them? Because your person might not necessarily be like lying or whatever, but I just feel like when men do very stereotypical things, it's like,
it's very difficult to then go, okay, like this is very, especially now that we've
you put a pop.
Yeah, we put a pop. Like it's very difficult to then go, oh my word, like, oh my god, like you've never been this happy, like, oh my goodness, because niggas just do this like typical. I was laughing about this with my boyfriend. I was like, yo, because we went out for drinks with his friends, and I was like, yeah, no, hey, we're gonna get there, and then
so they're gonna say these weird things,
and then we ended up making a joke about it with his friends. Where I already knew his friend, and he was like, yeah, actually, I've never seen my, and I was just like,
at least it's a joke.
Yeah, I'm like, it shows that you niggas just say this shit for this. As much as we're joking, it was just like, it just shows that niggas say this shit. Although I don't know if they, I guess they meant it. I asked and he said they did, but I was like, hey.
Yeah, it's none of my business. But also that thing is scary, bro, because it then means like, niggas are bonding over manipulating and deceiving people. And that's very scary to me. I know it's a bit of a dark off-ramp, but we've been seeing the efforts of group predators online. I'm not going to mention names. I don't have money. I don't want to be sued.
Niggas will definitely nig.
That's the scary thing. So I think we've covered what we could possibly cover, but I think in the presence of the loss and closing of love,
we haven't even covered how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask now. Yeah. Like, I think with family, I've just always been like, yeah, this person mistreated my mom or mistreated my grand, so that's that. And I've never been interested in their side of the story. Yeah. I don't think I ever will be, because I think for a lot of the things that I witness, it's healthier to not have those people in my life, and it has been more rewarding. I think as I get older and people become more aware of like independence and all of that, it becomes very easier for a lot of the things that I never imagined would happen in my family to start happening. Like people are starting like to ask for things like, oh, I need contribution to uniform, I need this and I need this. And it's like, because a lot of my life, or most of like my life now, has been spent so separated from family, it becomes easier for me to not be manipulated, but to operate from a place of wanting to help whenever there is a need to help. And I think that would be way more difficult if we were still as close-knit as before. So I'm very grateful in that sense for that, but it still hurts. I think with friendships, a friend recently that I had actually like stopped being friends with in like 2015 reached out. They'd reached out multiple times, and I think the last time that they reached out, it was at a time where I had actually felt like, and this, it's not that I regret it actually, but they reached out at a time where I'd actually felt like I was unfair to this person to a certain degree, and I was the one that lost like my best friend at the time for something that, when I look back, is less of an offense than what other people were still keeping their friends for within the friendship circle. And I had never demanded them to stop being friends with certain people. And I think because I was much younger at the time, I was more impressionable. I don't think, even though I do not regret the decision, I don't think it was fully me. And like, we've been trying to communicate, but I think I'm at a very weird place in my life where I and it's not like a negative thing, but my engagement is very low. Like, there's so much life happening every day that, like, for me to have a conversation with someone, it's instead of touching base like once a week or whatever, I'm the type of person now who has like a 3-hour phone call once every few months. Like, that's how I keep in touch now, because hey, by the time I'm done with work, like, I'm dead. So yeah, that's how I'm dealing with things. haven't had a significant romantic breakup. Probably last breakup was in grade 1. I don't know. So like, yeah, that's from a family and friendship perspective. That's how I'm dealing with things.
Yeah,
You?
I think for me, from a romantic relationship point of view, just cry it out. I guess if you must
Cry it out.
cry it out, dog. Like
Don't drink it away.
Don't try to be a staring. Don't try and get on social media.
Don't
try
be
to
a
bad
savage.
bitch. Don't. Anyway, fuck that nigga. Fuck that nigga. Yeah, but
There's
like,
nothing as dishonest
come
as
on,
the millennial
don't
savage.
Don't try to.
The millennial
The
savage.
millennial savage, sweetie.
The Gen X, Z, Gen Z. What Gen is it? Gen whatever. Savage is also like, who are you fooling, my baby?
We can see.
I think there's something in future life that's making these Gen whatever savages.
Don't make them come here and drag us.
Oh
You know
yeah,
how
sorry
they
guys.
are.
Yo, sorry. Yeah, those guys are
They are
potent.
potent.
They've got that kick and punch. And you know what
Mates.
is really wild about them? Is there's no bigotry like us. Like when I was a teen coming for older people, it was 100% bigotry. These guys are so smart, so innovative. The clapbacks are out of this world. I'll give you that.
Exactly. So I think in the context of a romantic, just like feel it out if you have to. If it's making you sad to the point where you can't function and you can go to therapy, go to
Get
therapy.
some
I've
help.
done that before. It
Get some
helps.
help.
And also acknowledge that when you do that necessary work to get over a relationship, the reward is in another relationship.
Yes.
It's not.
Latini, what did the savages say? The best way to get him out of your...
It's get over a man is to get under one, baby.
please
Just
stop.
have sex. Just have sex.
Yeah, don't try get into a
Don't
relationship.
talk about the best way to get. Just have sex, and stop telling us about over and under.
and all those dynamics.
Just have sex, okay?
And
Just
also the
consensual
using of
sex.
other humans is actually a very wild thing to do.
Yes, don't
use
get,
other humans
It's
to
nice,
heal.
guys. I won't lie. The times I've done it, it was like, oh, okay, this person is helping me get over it, but don't do it. It's not nice. It's not right.
It's like,
it's very rare situations where you can say that in as much as the person was a rebound, things turned out well and now we're together.
No,
and
often
it's
you
great.
actually use the person and you suck them dry and you walk away.
Yeah.
And that's
Which
not
makes
right.
you an energy vampire. You don't want to be that person.
Also, it's emotional abuse. Like, imagine I'm
Period.
coming into a relationship with the idea that I'm getting into a relationship and someone's using me to heal. That's deceptive.
That's
Stop
not
it.
cute. Yeah, and I think that's it feeds into what people think about, like, oh no, one of the things that people think about regarding relationships or getting into new relationships, and how that doing the work is kind of like the reward, or a new relationship is the
Is the reward of doing the work.
And it really isn't. I think just come out of that.
I think the
Get into
reward-
a relationship when you want to, but not because
The
it's a
reward is gaining back the trust in yourself. Learning new ways of coping and dealing with situations, so that when we experience them again, the blow is cushioned by
yes.
the learnings.
Yeah.
That is the greatest reward.
Yeah.
When you experience something that you've experienced before and the work that you've done cushions you from it hurting as much. I think that's what we should always aim for.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, exciting.
Oh, yes.
Exciting. Beginning
It's our
of
birthday.
creating.
I think it's actually our birthday tomorrow.
No.
In my calendar it says
Tomorrow. Why do I
yeah.
think it was end of the
I
month?
think it might be when we started all our different platforms, and then we dropped the first episode end of the month.
on the 29th, but it's a leap
Yeah.
year.
We
It's
don't
not a
know,
leap year.
child.
Okay.
Every day is our birthday.
So as we were speaking about the end, this is
Yes.
about the beginning of creating more memories. So our friends at Cadbury gave us 3 Instax, I think we call them Polaroids, cameras to give away to our loyal listeners, our community subscribers. And we had just launched a new YouTube channel where you guys can get exclusively all Esmgoa content.
Yeah.
And we're proud to announce that we did like a sheet, automated, but obviously didn't film it.
It was a draw.
And our 3 winners are from...
From Twitter, we
Actually,
have,
I guess they
have the
entered on all
same-
platforms,
Yeah, they
but
entered
like-
on all platforms. It's at Ayanda Being,
who has
and-
been a listener since day one.
like-
And actually, interestingly enough, as you said her name, I just remembered that Ayanda and her partner Nanawe were literally
In the beginning.
In the beginning, they used to
In
even
the
help us
beginning.
shoot.
Yeah,
so
in
it's
the
actually really amazing that
What a
she has
coincidence.
won.
Shout out to this draw.
And she's been around for so long.
Yeah.
Love
Shout
you,
out.
Ayanda.
Yes, a lot.
Second
a lot.
winner,
Zanele. Shout out Zanele.
who's also always calling us out.
All
When
the
we
time.
don't
When
film.
we don't-
How
when
does
we
this
don't film.
consistency feel? What more do you have to say to us? Because we're being consistent.
Eat that. Take that.
And the third winner,
Gwenny 1822.
okay, that's on
yes.
Instagram, eh?
I think it's on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm not sure. But yes, yeah, I think it's on Instagram. Yes, congratulations to our winners. Yay! I don't know if Menzi's gonna add effects. It's
I
too
hope
much
he
work.
adds like your names.
It's, yeah, it's too
But
much work.
yeah, that's us.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you to everybody who entered. We are definitely going to have so many more giveaways.
Yes.
If you've already won, maybe we'll disqualify you.
Yeah, you
you know,
can't
just
win
so
again.
you can give other people a chance.
This is not the lottery.
No.
It is once off.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for one
Engaging.
entering, but two engaging, man. You guys have been engaging so much.
It's actually been like very rewarding to drop
yeah.
weekly and
Yeah.
have people like conversating with us.
Yeah.
But also like for the first
We'd like
time
to do more, but life is just.
yeah.
We will. We really will.
No, I think once a week is
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
not as in episodes. I mean as in like engaging
And
outside
giving
of
gifts,
that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's us.
yeah.
Please don't forget to
Like,
like,
comment,
subscribe, comment,
Comments.
join our new YouTube
Join our
channel,
new YouTube
and let us
channel.
know what things you would like us to do.
Yeah.
We're open to taking suggestions for the month of March. It is
Yes.
International Women's Month,
Yes.
so we're looking at doing everything here is women centered, but
Period.
you get me, women centered
Yeah.
topics. So you've
Yeah.
got 4 chances to recommend something. Hit us
Yes.
up,
Yes.
and that's us.
That's us, yeah. And once again, like I always, thank you so much. Like we're 2 now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're 2.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
We're
get
walking.
sentimental, but we're walking now. we're
With
out
teeth,
here.
we've got teeth.
We've got teeth. We've got a number of teeth. And yeah, you guys have really been with us through all of that. And yeah, we're looking forward.
Potty training
to,
is taking some time though.
Yeah, it's a bit shaky. Are we still taking breast milk? I hope not.
I'm not sure.
Not really.
sure.
But yeah, thank you guys so much.